Hey folks, recently I've been playing Breath of the Wild again. Not fully, just casually for some fun I guess. And during these recent gaming sessions, an idea came to mind regarding the sequel. Not necessarily a video idea at first, but then I remembered that's literally what I do for a living. So yeah, the idea was, what are some upgrades and improvements that every existing major settlement in Breath of the Wild could make, with the sequel in mind? New and improved ways to defend their homes if need be, general improvements and much more, that sort of thing. So I got thinking on that for every settlement whilst exploring them in real time and analysing them. I will say now that maybe the actual story of this game won't require any of this, but maybe it will. Maybe all of this changes to Hyrule wouldn't affect the villages, we don't know. It's very hypothetical, so try to keep that in mind. Now, without further ado, here are upgrades and improvements that I would make to every major settlement in Breath of the Wild. Be sure to go and grab yourself a snack or drink and send them in to get featured right here. And also be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps the channel out. And let's get into this one. Let's start off at Hyrule Village. Firstly, the entrance. This will be a reoccurring point for a few locations, but it must be said that it is far too easy to enter most locations. I've been saying that this sequel appears to be very unpredictable, so you never know what you might need to prepare for. In this case, I think Hyrule could benefit from a proper gate at this entrance point, not just old Farmer Joe to ask who you are and what's your business. I don't think that monsters would care. I'd also add in a watcher person / archer up here, just in case there's any trouble, as well as to keep an eye out for any incoming threats. Another defensive upgrade Hyrule could use is some spikes on these hills to ensure no enemies climb up. Hyrule is blessed with a very good location geographically, in that it's coastal and high up, so not much needs to be added other than some sharpening up defensively. Perhaps the same sort of stuff could be done at the other end of the village, but the chances of any threats coming from back here are less likely. Still, it wouldn't hurt to add a little watch post. But other than that, Hyrule is pretty solid, I'd say. Just some sharpening up, as I said. Moving over to Zora's Domain. This is another location blessed geographically. The domain itself is in the centre of these cliffs, and surrounded by water below. It is mainly accessed via the main bridge and other small bridges. It's very hard to sneak here, so to say. Any threats could be spotted from a mile away. The domain is fairly safe as is. I'd suggest to maybe add a bunch of watchtowers on the cliffs around, as enemies could theoretically attack from above, but any coming from the main bridge could be both spotted and cut off fairly easily. It's really just up here they need to worry about. Obviously below them as well, but that would also require said threats to scale the waterfalls. So yeah, there isn't too much I'd add to Zora's Domain itself. Maybe just more security around the perimeter. You know, little archer towers and maybe some posts over by the other end of the bridge. Over at Lurelin Village by the coast, this is an interesting one to work with. You've got high cliffs behind the settlement, and of course the sea right in front of it. The cliffs shouldn't be a bother. It's pretty quiet up there already. Where I'd work on is the sea. The village layout is actually pretty good already. First of all, I'd add a few more and bigger boats in case retreating is ever required. Say a horde of monsters comes storming down from here, there should be bigger and better boats on standby for escape. Ones equipped with food and weapons, everything required to potentially be on the water for a little while, and even fend off enemy attacks such as arrows or throwable weapons. Like Hyrule, I'd add a big old gate here with people watching it at all times. This would, like Hyrule, be to provide foreseen threats and being able to give warning, as well as hopefully holding them off for a little while. The biggest upgrade I'd give to Lurelin is a sea fort. Not too far off the shores of the village itself, but enough to be its own structure and classed as part of Lurelin Village. Similar to this one down the coastline, but a lot more suited to the people of Lurelin. Rooms, beds, food, weapons, and of course protection from any threats on land. This is where they theoretically sail out to on the emergency boats. And then, you know, chill there until it's safe. In the hill-hidden Kakariko Village, we've got a challenge on our hands. Well secluded, Kakariko Village is trapped in a way. Tight, tall entrances / exits, and a small compact settlement. First of all, Kakariko is getting the gate treatment. ×2, each of them with somebody watching on top. At the pathway that leads to the stone grave area, there should be a watchtower / post built here. It would give a very good look over central Hyrule. Now, being naturally trapped if enemies were to break in, a great method of defense that should definitely be brought in is archery posts on the surrounding hills. It's all I can really think of really. Nothing too fancy, just some little huts with archers in there, just in case. For the important figure that is Impa, maybe a cool secret cave could be built behind her home into the waterfalls, with a hidden drawbridge that could be activated and pulled back up if she needs an escape. Gerudo City is a very impressive settlement in the heat of the desert. It has solid walls and a clear view in all directions. Off the bat, it's already very solid and out of the way from most dangers, other than the desert zone. The entrance is already very well guarded, but hey, let's give it an actual gate as well. Then, let's build some walkways for guards to walk around the tops of the walls, turning the city into a bit of a fortress. This would allow for looking further out and having archery defense if need be. A simple build, but an effective one. For a more complex upgrade to this settlement, I'd add a flow of water beneath the walkways, sourced from the magical endless supply of water up here. And at the Pool of a Lever, water all around the walls can be released and flow down the edges to sort of wash down and maybe even wash away enemies. Being extremely hot sometimes, and in the events of being surrounded, building some underground tunnels or even just safe rooms could also be ideal. Because I mean, you've got a whole desert to run through if you need to escape. I think safe rooms are the way to go here, plus they'd be a good way to keep cool. Up on Death Mountain is already a very hard place for the average non-Goron to reach, but in case any enemies ever thought to do so, and in the case of the sequel it appears that Malice certainly has the idea, let's get to work. First of all, let's hit it with the gate treatment. Okay, nice. Now into something very fun. On all of the edges and ledges around the city, I'd install a bunch of lava buckets ready to spill at the Pool of a Lever. The Gorons can handle heat pretty well, and a little overspill shouldn't hurt them too much. I hope. But for other threats, I'd imagine it would both startle them and also force them back out, or into the actual lava pools. Anyone but Gorons doesn't do well with lava. I'd also install some tunnels into the mountain, back to how the Gorons used to do it in the days of Ocarina of Time and Twilight Princess. An outside and inside settlement. This would also act as a safe place if things get out of control outside. Now, the last improvement I'd have built here is pretty big and very crazy, but hear me out. A giant Goron slide all the way down the mountain. You know, just in case a quick escape is ever required, they could just roll on down the mountain in one linear slide. The Gorons are very tough and could more than likely handle some bumps on the way down. In the cold northwest of Hyrule is Rito Village, a tall and slender settlement with pods built around a large erected rock. Pods that, funny enough, resemble bird cages. Naturally, this is another pretty solid settlement. It has a huge drop of water surrounding it, and for those on foot, it can only be accessed via multiple bridges. First of all, let's turn their bridges into drawbridges, or draw-a-bull bridges. Not the well-known looking kind with chains as seen in Ocarina of Time, rather more by ropes, just in case there are incoming threats. They can drop the strength in the ropes holding them up and let them flop down until safe again. As well as that, each of the islands on the way to the main one with all the pods should have little huts built as defense posts. That's on foot enemies taken care of now. Now, if there were to be any air or even air attacks like arrows being shot over, I'd have metal roofing built on top of every pod, protecting the Rito when inside. Terrytown is a creation of Hudson, of Bolson Construction, built on a platform only accessible via the natural stone bridge leading into the town. You should know what I'm about to say here. Gate treatment. Get one built, with somebody on watch at all times. You know what, let's also build a little post here for another person to be on watch. I'd also build a better fence around the edges, more so because I think it'd look nicer and feel safer. Now, the biggest concern with Terrytown is that if enemies broke through, the people of the town are very much trapped here. It'd be a big build and task, but let's get an underground safe room / escape path built down into the platform, with boats at the ready down below. It would be really cool if it was via a staircase underneath this centerpiece, opened by a lever somewhere. That would be very ideal. I don't think that Terrytown really needs archers around the perimeter, as nothing will get close on the outer edges. Mainly just the bridge. Maybe whoever is watching at the gate should be equipped with a bow, but that's about it. Terrytown is already very solid. That's all of the major settlements. However, there is also the stables, which I'd like to include, as they are a chain settlements. Firstly, with the population of Hyrule probably feeling a bit more safe following Calamity Ganon's defeat, more people could be travelling. So, let's get more beds in here. A simple build, bunk beds. Then, I'd have some proper doors covering these entrances, even just a sliding door or barn door kind of thing. And finally, I'd like to have a little training area built next to every stable to help train the people of Hyrule. A bit like this, but on a larger scale and with a trained expert to train people. Before wrapping up, I'd also like to mention that all of these upgrades and improvements would be done with Bolson Construction, giving them a ton of new quests that build on what was done with the Terrytown side quest and Link's house. We'd help gather the materials and work alongside the construction company to upgrade and improve every village, with potential new threats incoming in the sequel. That was all of my suggestions to upgrade and improve every major settlement in Breath of the Wild, going into Tears of the Kingdom. What about yourself? Let me know down below in the comments what you'd upgrade and improve in every major settlement in Breath of the Wild, and let's get a lovely little discussion going. I'll see you all there shortly. Be sure to drop a wee like down below if you enjoyed, and also consider subscribing for more fabulous Zelda content. Both would make my day. Follow my socials linked below to keep up to date. And as always, a huge, massive, amazing shout out goes to all of my channel supporters. Thanks a ton. Your support really helps me to make these videos week in, week out, all month long, 365 days a year. If you'd like to join them and get yourself a shout out upon joining and your name at the end of every video, then consider supporting via the links below. Thanks for watching. I hope you all have an amazing day or night, and until the next time, I've been Hyrule Gamer.